Let's talk about the Denver Broncos. It seems like this team is headed right into a rebuild, and this is a much-needed rebuild for this team. They have had so many starting quarterbacks since 2015, and these are just some of the names. Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch, who was a bust with this team, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Trevor Siemian. They've had those many quarterbacks since Payton Manning retired with this team, and they haven't seen much success since their Super Bowl win over the Carolina Panthers many years ago. And a lot of people are hating on Sean Payton and the coaching staff and the rest of the organization for how they treated Russell Wilson down the stretch of this season. They decided to bench him for the last 2 games of the regular season. It was pretty much an insurance policy for the team. If he was to go out there and to get injured, they're going to owe him a lot of money. They plan on to release him in the next few months. And I do agree with that move, even though I do believe that they're heading to the right direction. Russell Wilson played way better this year than he played last season, because last season he was tied being the most sacked quarterback in the NFL with Justin Fields. He had 16 passing touchdowns, just 11 interceptions. This year was Sean Payton's first year with this team. 26 passing touchdowns to just 8 interceptions. He played better and he did not turn the football over. The problem is the Denver Broncos did not go out there and make a trade with the Seattle Seahawks to just have a game manager at the quarterback position. And that's pretty much what Russell Wilson was in this system with Sean Payton. Go out there, throw the ball 5 to 10 yards down the field. You occasionally throw the deep shot to a guy like Courtland Sutton. But other than that, you play through the run game. You let Russ cook here and there. And then you play through your defense. And the defense was atrocious for the first 4 to 5 games of the season. Then Vance Joseph did go in there, make some changes, and got those guys to buy into the defensive scheme. We're going to get into their defense in just a second, but they need a complete offensive overhaul. Russell Wilson will be pushed out the door. They're going to have a huge hole at the quarterback position because Russell Wilson was not going to take a pay cut with this team, especially with his guarantees with his deal. He wants to have all his money outright. And when they do cut Russell Wilson, it's going to be an ugly situation with this team in the short term, but hopefully in the long term, it can help them out. I think this team could benefit by drafting a young quarterback in the first round. You can get a guy like a Drake May if you trade up. You also get a guy like Michael Penix maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round and try to work and develop him as well. Because Sean Payton is a very good offensive head coach in my opinion. You can go out in free agency as well and try to bring in a guy like Jameis Winston who did have some success with Sean Payton before Sean Payton left the New Orleans Saints. But regardless, they do have a very good coaching staff in my opinion. You have Sean Payton who's calling all the offensive plays. You have Vance Joseph on the defensive side of the ball as well. And you look at the rest of their offense, they have some key pieces with this team. I like Courtland Sutton a lot. Courtland Sutton is a touchdown machine with this team. 10 receiving touchdowns on the season, 772 receiving yards. He is the true number 1 wide receiver with this team. But when you look at the other wide receiving targets, this one things get a little murky. Jerry Jeudy did put up solid numbers this season, 758 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. He's been a bust so far in his NFL career. Now, it's not all on him because like I mentioned before earlier in the video, he's played with a lot of quarterbacks, but Jerry Jeudy has dropped a lot of passes and he's been checked out of some games as well by not playing hard enough with his effort. I look at a guy like Jerry Jeudy, you can keep him around, but he hasn't been that star wide receiver that they were hoping that he was going to be. You also have Marvin Mims with this team as well, a special return man with this team with the speed that he has. 377 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown on the season. He's averaging 17 yards a catch. I would like to see him get the football more. He can't run the full complete route tree just yet, but in the system with Sean Payton, he can be better. And I do expect for him to be better long term with this team. This kid has big time speed. He can go out there and he can be a star wide receiver with this team. And you also have some other solid options with this team as well. I look at a guy like Tim Patrick, has struggled to stay healthy the last couple of seasons. But if he can come out here on the field and he can rebound from those injuries, he could be a nice player with this team. But I doubt that he'll be with this roster next season because of all the injuries that he suffered in the past. The offensive line did take a step up this year. I like Garrett Bowles at the left tackle position. They brought in Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers through free agency, 2 very good star offensive linemen with this team. Mike McGlinchey did get injured towards the end. He was on the IR, but he was a very good tackle with this team this season, in my opinion as well. Lord Cushenberry is a very good center with this team as well. And the offensive line played very good down the stretch because you had Javonte Williams out there running like a madman, 774 rushing yards on the season and 3 rushing touchdowns. And he's a true bell cow running back with this team. I would love for them to go out there and get a home run hitter through the draft or through free agency. Just get a guy that complements Javonte Williams very well. A guy that can catch the football in the backfield and take some of the load off of Javonte Williams. But the offense still needs a lot of retooling. It's a very weird offense. It's a dink and dunk your way down the field. Then eventually you can take the big shot down the field with the offense. It still is a work in progress. This was just Sean Payton's first year, and they went 8-9 this year. Obviously, towards the end, the last 2 games, it seems like they were in tank mode, but they were just trying to go out there and just get Russell Wilson out the door. That was pretty much it. And I look at their defense, and I did say for the first 4 games of the season, it looked terrible. The Miami Dolphins ran them out the building like the track team that they are. But the defense did play better. Jaquan McMillan is a star cornerback with this team, especially when they're playing that nickel defense. 2 forced fumbles on the season, 2 interceptions, 5 pass deflections. That's a nice guy to have in the secondary with guys like Justin Simmons and Patrick Surtain. And I look at Justin Simmons. He is still an elite safety in the NFL. They can move off of him or they can keep him around because he's a very good safety with this team. 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions on the season, and 8 pass deflections. And I look at Patrick Surtain. Didn't have that star season this season, but he was still the #1 corner with this team this season. I'm not calling him a bad corner because he's still an elite corner with this team. The problem is with Patrick Surtain, when your offense isn't able to do much early on in the season, you're going to be on the field a lot and you're going to end up getting tired. And that was the case. He played very well this season. Just a year before, he was better. But this is still one of the best corners in the NFL. And the way that this kid is made up, he's set up to be one of the best corners for the next couple of years to come. He's only 23 years old. And quarterbacks are throwing his way towards the back half of the season. That's a great sign for this team. You also have a star pass rusher and Nick Benito as well. 8 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble. He is very good. The entire defensive line is very solid. They're not going to go out there and pressure the quarterback every single time on downs, but they're very good against the run, and they will get pressure when they need it the most, especially on 3rd down. And that goes for guys like Zach Allen and Jonathan Harris. And the linebackers are very solid as well. I really like Baron Browning with this team. 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. There's definitely something there with this kid. Continue to develop him in the system with Vance Joseph as the defensive play caller. The biggest thing here with the Denver Broncos, they're not a team that's good enough to go out there and compete. But at the same time, they're not a team that's going to go out there and only win 3 to 4 games next season because you do have a win-now head coach in Sean Payton. I do think that they're a couple of years behind in terms of just going out there and just trying to rebuild everything. They thought that they were just a quarterback away. That wasn't the case. You had a horrible head coach in Nathaniel Hackett a year ago, and he really set this team back for the next couple of years. That's what really happened because Russell Wilson last year was atrocious with this team. He was so bad that they had to go out there, bring in Sean Payton, pay Sean Payton a lot of money, and Sean Payton really doesn't fit what Russell Wilson wants in terms of a head coach that's going to go over there, get in his face, and Russell Wilson doesn't fit Sean Payton's system. When you look at Sean Payton's offense, it's very structured. Sean Payton is a guy that's very much on timing. He's a timing head coach. When you look at Drew Brees, when he was very successful with the Saints, and when they won the Super Bowl, it was a timing type of system. It's still the same system now with some upgraded concepts here and there, but at the same time, it's very old school. You can say that it is outdated, but I'm seeing other coaches around the NFL have a quote-unquote outdated system, and it still works. Look at Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. They run that old Packers system, and besides them getting smoked in the playoffs, it was very successful with Dak Prescott. Drew Brees was a very successful quarterback with Sean Payton. A lot of it was because he did not have the mobility as Russell Wilson has the mobility. And another thing as well, Drew Brees was more accurate than Russell Wilson. Not saying that Russell Wilson is not an accurate quarterback, because at times he was this season. But at the same time, he doesn't have the same timing with these wide receivers like how Drew Brees did with the Saints. With that being said, Russell Wilson can still play in the NFL. I think that he's a high-end backup right now, and the Denver Broncos are still looking for a true franchise quarterback. They should have went out, rebuilt this thing in 2017 and 2018. When they saw that Paxton Lynch was a bust, that's when you just go out there, ship guys out, and just try to build it from the ground up. But they're finally doing that right now. I do think that it's in everyone's best interest that Russell Wilson goes on his own way and that Sean Payton can build this team in his image, because Sean Payton did not go out there and trade for Russell Wilson. He was already here when Sean Payton came here. A lot of people thought that Sean Payton was going to come in and fix this entire thing. This was a bigger mess than anyone expected, because you have players on this team like Jerry Jeudy, has some good moments, but has a lot of bad moments as well. And his bad moments are coming when it's 30, 40 yards deep down the field and when Russell Wilson puts it on the money, he just drops the football. That's not good enough for a first-round pick with this team. They need to go through that rebuilding process. I think it starts now. I don't know who the quarterback will be long-term with this team, but I can definitely see this team going out there drafting a guy like Michael Penix or J.J. McCarthy. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the Denver Broncos, and is it time for this team to completely rebuild everything with Sean Payton? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, when each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.